name's Tim Dubois. I've been around here for quite a while now, and I've got some background in safety, so I usually try to participate on this level. So I'm going to talk not necessarily about a specific piece of equipment, but I'm going to talk about maybe a little shop etiquette, a little bit more on the procedure side of things that are not necessarily an absolute rule, but how we can better use our shop. So the first open shop that we had, most of the things I'm going to talk about basically are going to be open shop, okay? The first one we had was in 2018 in October. So we've been doing this about 7 years. 2 nights a month, the shop is open for qualified people that are members to come in and use the equipment. Last week at the open shop, we had 17 attendees, which may or may not be the record, but and it seemed like everything went pretty smooth last week with that many people in this area. Earlier this year, Mike Pekovich, who was an editor for a magazine, wrote an article and or a little blurb, and it was directed towards specifically table saw safety, but he said basically, because you do something on a table saw repeatedly and don't get hurt, it does not mean that you were doing it appropriately. And you know, we spent a lot of last year's safety meeting talking about exactly that. The older we get, we have been doing something the wrong way for 60 years, but we've never been hurt, so we keep doing it that way. And then every day, every year, somebody ends up in the hospital because the law of averages caught up with somebody. And some people go through life that way and they never get caught. So, and I want to reflect on that about how we've been using our open shop twice a week for 7 years, and we've never had a major or probably even a minor injury. And I'm going to tell you that that doesn't mean we've been doing it the right way. It doesn't mean that we've been flawless in our following the safety habits and taking care of our equipment and taking care of each other and putting on our PPE. We haven't been flawless at that. We just haven't gotten hurt yet. But because we haven't got hurt, that does not mean we've been doing it right. So we can ratchet that up a little bit. One of the things that sticks out to me when we get a lot of people going in here on a lot of different projects, comes down to etiquette. And I've seen a lot of work going on throughout the years here, and as I look at it, and as the shop foreman looks at it, there's a lot of PPE that's not used. There's a lot of bandsaws that people walk away when the blade is still spinning. There's a lot of people backing up, walking between someone and a machine, just a kind of a lack of awareness. And this doesn't mean that we've got some real dinks in our club here that don't respect other people. What it means is that the people that come in that door are excited about woodworking. They're in a hurry. They might want to be the first one for a piece of equipment. So we're not saying we got bad people that do this. We got people that might have some bad habits, and you know, we don't want those bad habits to catch up for us. So one thing I'll tell you now, and it's out of place for my notes, is that, you know, all of our machinery, except for the 2 table saws, is mobile. So we don't have yellow tape marking out, you know, a zone for our bandsaws or for some of our stuff. So we gotta respect that. Whether, we've all been around long enough, we know that you gotta have 2 or 3 feet around there, and you don't talk to the person who's using it. But we don't have that, but that doesn't mean that that zone does not exist, all right? So another thing that we seem to fail at is respecting another person's worker's space. You know, if we come in and we're the only person here, and I pull one bench out of the way and start using the table saw, and I'm the only one here, Don's the only one here, that's fine. But if I continue using that when somebody else comes and starts bringing tools out, I've got to stop, make some space so that that table saw and that area is safe for me to use. And that means that, okay, all these benches, somebody wants to do something, they have to take that bench and make themselves a work area. So you have to respect that person's work area at the saw or any piece of equipment. You also have to respect their work area if they're set up on a bench. And you have to respect another person's pace, not only their space, but their pace. If you want to use this saw and Raleigh's using it, and Raleigh's got, you know, a repetitive cut to make on numerous pieces, don't stand there tapping your toe waiting for him to get done, because then Raleigh's going to start playing your game and not his game, okay? If that makes sense. So we've got a limited amount of equipment. We all just have to take our turn. We're not having a race here. So if you're backed up, allow the person using that equipment the time to use that equipment safely and complete their job. Another thing is that if it's crowded and you're going to get something out of the back room and you're walking by the table saw, and the person is in the middle of a cut, wait for them. It seems that as a society, not just as woodworkers, we say, oh, excuse me, you don't have the right of way because you said excuse me. You know, you might say excuse me and get some acknowledgement from the person that you're going to walk behind them. And I've seen it a number of times here in the shop, you know, somebody's, oh, excuse me. You know, well, if you're close enough to walk sideways, you shouldn't be doing that if I'm cutting, if that saw is even on, you wait, you know? So, you know, at Costco or Coburn's, that might be okay to say excuse me and run over somebody's foot with your shopping cart. And here we've got the potential for more injury. So, you know, like I say, set up your own work zone. Try to respect someone else's work zone. We've got 10 benches thereabouts. So take your bench, pull it out. That's what they're there for. And, you know, set up your own zone. So, another thing that, and here again, we're talking just about etiquette and courtesy and how to get along. You know, if there's tools on a bench, that probably means somebody's using them. Because somebody doesn't have them in their hand, if they took them out, if you want some clamps, take them off the clamp rack. If you want some chisels, and you don't bring your own, get them out of the back. I might be working on a project or someone else and put a couple of things like to the side here because I know I'm gonna need them. And then when I got my glue running all over my fingers, I'm looking for that clamp that you just took to the other end of the shop. So assume that if it's not on a rack or if it's not in a drawer, someone else is using that. You know, it's just kind of common courtesy. And like I say, I'm gluing my stuff up, and here's the nearest clamp I can find. You know, we got to just back up, slow down a little bit, and in general, we should slow down. I get really excited when I'm doing woodworking. I don't get competitive when I'm woodworking. Some people do. I haven't reached the level of skill that I can be competitive, but there's nothing competitive in this shop. So slow down, Don't get too excited, and don't get too frustrated either. Frustration is another thing where you might, revert to a practice that isn't the safest, or that we don't really approve of. You don't approve of them yourself, but you end up doing it, almost. So, another thing is ask for help if you need help. If you're running some wood through the planer and somebody's available, you can ask them to catch, depending on how you're doing it, what you're doing. It's safer for you, it's better for the equipment if you have help on certain jobs. And so, along with not being shy about asking for help, make sure that you're ready to give someone else help if they ask for it, if they need it. So that's a two-way street. When Don sends out his message that says, come for open shop, blah, 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 get some help, get some advice, meet other woodworkers. It doesn't mean that if you're gonna mill enough lumber to build a garage, that Don or myself or Sean is gonna stand on the other end and catch wood for you all night. That's not what get help means. It means, I think the intention is for guidance, but, and everybody here is happy to help catch or give advice, but mostly that's for advice. That doesn't mean I can come in and then I don't have to pay the neighbor kid to do this at home. So let's use that a little bit of respect for the other people. Okay. Excuse me. Another thing that has to do with respect for the shop and our fellow workers is you dispose of your own trash. If you have a mess, if you generate a mess, and your cut-offs, sweep them up after yourself. There is no mess that's too small to clean up. So if you think, oh shit, who said that? Shoot, there's only a small pile of dust over here. We'll let that accumulate so it's worth walking over and sweeping. Now, if you made a mess, clean that mess up. So you're responsible for that. I don't like to move into pull a table out and start to use it and have to clean off what someone else didn't want to throw away, someone else didn't want to sweep up. So we're all in this together. Our mutual respect and etiquette is going to make the place a lot more pleasant to work around. I've seen it where the dust collectors have been filled up, and then that means I'm done using them for the night. Okay? It doesn't mean I'm going to be responsible for emptying it. I'm not going to ask Don or Mike how to empty it. I'll just walk away. And then 2 weeks later, the next open shop, and somebody turns it on and it's plugged up. Well, is it his responsibility? Who's ever using it? We have to come together on some of this stuff. And a lot of people are good about this kind of thing. Don't get me wrong. I'm running through these kind of like Raleigh's going to run through all the rules for the saw. You've heard them before. You've heard a lot of what I'm going to say before. We're not saying that we're all going to just walk away, but it happens. If you're using that and it shuts down, it's really disappointing to come in full of ambition, want to get some work done, and the first thing you have to do is cover yourself in sawdust, somebody else's sawdust. So, the hand tools, if you use hand tools here, they must be put away at the end of the night. Don doesn't get paid to go around and put stuff away, a tape measure, sandpaper, the glue bottles. So if you use any of that stuff, the person using it is the person that's responsible to put it away. if you use something that, I can't remember where this came from, Billy Bob handed it to me. I know it doesn't belong on a workbench in the middle of the shop. Well then, you know, we're gonna designate kind of a staging area in the back so that you don't necessarily have to put it in the wrong place if you don't know where it goes. Because we can go back there and put things where they belong if they're in an area. We just don't want to go picking up after everybody. Okay. So that takes care of the hand tools a little bit. They know power tools, probably one of the primary rules, and Raleigh will go through it, but procedurally, if you're using a power tool and it does not work, let the leader of the shop know. And we're just going to, for the sake of a title, we're going to say the shop foreman from now on. Okay, so usually we have 2 shop foremen on an open shop night. So if something's wrong, don't try to get those last 3 cuts done. Shut it down and let who's ever in charge know that this was broken, and we'll unplug it and we'll take it out of service. So, also, if you have not been instructed or don't know how to safely use a tool or a machine, you've got to ask the shop foreman, and that's where you know, that help comes in that we're talking about. It's guidance. So don't use something if you don't know how. Don't watch that guy and say, oh, that's how that works. Okay, I can do that. Because there might be a lot of that you're not seeing. So we're in the process of really making sure that everybody that turns a switch has been qualified to some degree. And it'll come to be that if you're not, then you have to do that. Each piece of equipment will be, okay, Billy Bob is signed off on the bandsaw, then he can use that. By the first of next year, we expect everybody that is going to use any equipment here to be on record as being qualified to do that. And if you fall through the cracks before then, ask somebody, what's the best way to do this? Or I want to make this cut on a table saw, but I'm not quite sure what I need to do to make that safe. And there's people around here that probably made that cut 100 times, 1,000,000 times. So there's help around, okay. Another thing talking about the shop general, the arena, is the awareness. You have to stay aware, you have to be focused on what you're doing in the wood shop. And we talked about knowing how to use a tool, but also knowing how to make sure that you're not too tired, you're not hungry, sad, mad, frustrated, dehydrated. Make sure when you come here, really, that you're physically in good shape. If you got to go till 9 o'clock, you got 2 hours left in you without supper, well, we want you to be physically able and physically aware and not distracted, okay? And it goes without saying, no drugs, alcohol. You know, because by nature, we can be hurried, we can be tense, so we're going to try to stay focused, and we can stay focused if we're physically doing pretty good. And clothing that we're going to use generally throughout the shop, you know, closed-toed shoes. We can't have sandals or flip-flops or high heels, or if you have long hair, tie it back or wear a cap. There's no loose clothing, dangling sleeves, scarves, cords, but sweatshirts. I'm probably, in the wintertime, I wear like 3 or 4 shirts. And they all have buttons right here, and they might as well not, because I do not use them. And I'll catch myself, I have a little shop at home, and I'll catch myself going down and go, well, got to roll 2 up, button 1, you know, another thing about something like that, that's a real easy one to miss. If you see someone going, oh, gee, Bob, I'd feel better if you'd button that sleeve before you do it. Don't be afraid to do that. We can do that respectfully with each other, and you know, you don't think that you're a know-it-all, and you're just saying, here's something. Take a look at this, zip that up, okay. Another thing pretty big with machinery is no gloves, okay. They get that glove trap and it's going to pull you right into whatever machinery you're using. Safety equipment, we talked about PPE. The club strives to provide all of the hearing protection, safety glasses, face shielder goggles, and it's usually available. If you come up and you can't find it, ask somebody, and maybe we have to go buy some more. If it gets down, we have to go buy some more. But we want to provide those things because we all know that hearing loss is progressive, and at our age, most of it is already progressed. So, but you can hang on to what we can, okay? So, the face mask also. Breathing some types of wood dust can be harmful to your skin, to your lungs, and so we also have respirators, lightweight respirators to help keep that away. And one thing that some people are not aware, but we talked about it a little earlier today even, a person's chemistry, body chemistry changes, so that when you're a young person, you know, you might be able to just fill your nostrils and your lungs with, say, butternut dust. If you're out in the woods or in the shop, and take a shower and blow your nose, and you're good to go, with limited consequences. As you get older, you may develop a sensitivity to butternut or walnut or basically any other wood, because your body chemistry changes. So don't take for granted how lucky you are that something doesn't bother you, and neglect to wear that PPE if it's available, okay? Another thing about that is that we have a shop foreman or two when we're having open shop, and they're not monitors, you know. We're not gonna check you off that you have these 4 things on. We're gonna make sure, if we see you operating without glasses on, we're gonna mention it, okay? If we see you operating without any of those PPE or violating something else, we're gonna mention it. But we're not here to say, if Bob was here that night, he had these 4 things on. We're not the gendarmes here. So you gotta take that responsibility on for yourself. We strive to make that easy to do, okay? Another thing that I haven't seen it happen, but you know, your MDF or your particle board or your plywood really should not be used on most of our equipment, okay? You know, planers, joiners, these are not appropriate woods to be used in there, okay? The other thing is that to maintain the integrity of our tools, if you bring some wood in from home or from the flea market or a garage sale, and you want to plane it, then you are responsible to make sure that that wood is appropriately cleaned before we send it through our equipment. It must be no dirt, paint, nail, staples, the obvious, you know. But also, if it's just been in somebody's, you got a really good deal because it's been in Granny's attic for 20 years, you know, at the very least, you should brush that off and vacuum it. And we've got brushes and we've got vacuums. You can do it before you bring it in. And if it's crappy enough, it may require a steel brush. But here again, we don't want to be in the place of monitoring anyone's behavior, but we have to monitor the equipment. So we expect any shop user to clean the wood if necessary to an acceptable state outright. One more thing about using the equipment, and we talked about it last year too, is that if you are unfamiliar, especially, but even if you're familiar, and you set up, say, a table saw, and you set the blade, do a dry run of where your hands are going to be with that particular piece of wood before you make the cut. Just kind of do a dry run, mimic what you're going to do, and you go, yes, this all makes sense. If I put my push block here, I can grab it. You know, if the fence is here. So it's a way that when we give classes and we have some people that may not have ever used a piece of equipment again, that's one of the, okay, go through this motion, and then we'll have them cut a piece of wood, a scrap wood, and just go, how does that feel? So if they go like that, and we go, okay, cut a couple more until you're comfortable doing that, you know. But even ourselves, even at home, I'll end up going, I don't know, I'll use, I'll lay out in sequence the boards I'm going to use, and then I'll lay out where my push sticks or whatever I'm going to use are. And as we're going through that, if we're cutting a really long piece of wood, a board, is there enough support on the output side to take that, or are you going to push it through and let it go on the floor? But you know, answer this question ahead of time. Just go, boy, that's a really nice. I got it set at 2 inches. I'm going to cut this baby. And then you go, you're holding this end of the board down because it's not supported on the other end. Or you don't have support behind you. Okay, these are all things that will lead to some problems. Kickback a lot in that area. So another thing that we talked about is in the area of table saw, bandsaw, is the work area clear of debris? You know, and like we also talked about, are you in a location where someone else isn't going to bump you? Okay, if you're working on a saw or a piece of equipment, then you should be able to focus on that, and someone else should make sure that they're not running into you. So you have a clear working area. There is a great deal of information on the club safety guidelines. I've touched on a couple of them that are probably include some of the numbered ones without really getting too particular. But I think that you know, if we conduct ourselves, and so I'm not speaking about a safety piece of equipment. I'm talking about how we conduct ourselves in the shop, our respect for each other, cleaning up after ourselves. And here's another thing. If you are in the shop working and you see some debris on the floor, some cutoffs from somebody who ignored them, you're free to pick that up. You're free to clean up a mess even if you didn't make it. And in the long run, you might be the one that isn't going to trip over it. But I think we all take care of ourselves, take care of our own messes, that we're all going to be able to look down the road and say, you know what, the reason that we haven't had any injuries isn't because of luck, it's because we've been doing things really appropriately. We've been watching the P's and Q's, and that we aren't relying on the luck that says we've been doing it wrong, but we didn't get hurt anyway. We don't want to get hurt intentionally by our behavior. So I think I'll leave you with that.